Good morning. Hello, jewelry makers. It's Tracy at TierraCast, and here with a
Good morning.
Whoops.
Hello, jewelry makers.
That
It's Tracy.
double stream. Mute that audio thing. We are here on our Tuesday morning Facebook Live with a really fun Christmas earring design how-to for you today. This particular earring design that I just did last week when I was trying to come up with a great project for you guys. I just was inspired by a necklace that we added to our website a few weeks ago. It was fall, and I really intended to get to a live demo of this. It is on our website. Let me see if I can find it, and post a link for you. How about if I do that later? Otherwise, we'll just be derailed and distracted. So this is glass glitter. It's a necklace that we're calling, what do we call this? I don't know. I'll post that for you later, I promise. But it's a very kind of fall palette because of this beautiful silk ribbon. So I really intended to do a demo for you during the fall season, but I just didn't get to it. But it is the same technique. It's glass glitter. And this one that I was just showing you is made with our, in some of our Dulce Vita rings. And because I didn't get to it for the fall, I thought, okay, what could I do for Christmas? So I created these glass glitter earrings using our stitch around hoops, and added the bows. And I thought that they came out just perfect for looking like Christmas ornaments. So I kind of loved them. So hello, Lynn. Hello, Debbie. And so that's what I'm going to demo for you this morning. Let me switch the camera. And I hope you're all doing well. It's getting a little wintry around here. It's kind of cold, kind of gray. It's okay. We don't mind. So what we've got here is a UV lamp over here in the corner. It's over there. You can kind of see the light glowing. I guess I could kind of pull it into the camera view maybe a little bit. So UV lamps are what you use to cure UV resin. They are the same type of lamps that are used for fingernail stuff, which I don't do that, so I'm not familiar with it. But when you do like certain nail treatments, they use UV lamps to set that. So it's the same type of lamp. So if you were to go shopping for this and weren't able to find it online or something, you try a beauty supply store. UV lamps for nails. So that's what we use to set a UV resin. I am using Lisa Pavelka's Magic Gloss. Was it around Halloween? We did a demo with this Magic Gloss and some of our big rings with some Halloween imagery. That was really fun, using the same UV resin for that. And I've got, what I've got for this project is some glass glitter. I've got a pretty green and a pretty red. This particular one is from Meyer Imports, German glass glitter. This is glass. It is sharp little shards of glass. It's not, you can touch it. It's not like scary, but you do want to be cautious with it. And my phone is ringing, which happens about once a month. We'll just ignore it. There's also Judikins Rocks is a nice glass glitter that you can find. And all I could find was a silver and a gold. And I thought that we might use the gold for our demo today because it feels a little bit Christmassy to me too. So let's move the red and the green. And there's also Susan Leonard Casimir. If you guys aren't familiar with Susan Leonard Casimir, she is a multimedia artist, or I should say mixed media artist. She does a lot of resin work, really wonderful stuff. She's been in the industry for a very long time. Because she does so much resin work, she has a whole line of products for that kind of work. So this is her glass glitter. It's called Iced Enamels, and she has some really pretty colors. So there's a few different brands of the glass glitter. Hello, Pamish. Hello, Susan. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Joyce. Yeah, it is a very fun project. Good morning, Cookie. All right, so let's get started. So if you watched, if you watched the demo that I did, let's get some of the stuff out of the way. The demo that I did with the Halloween imagery. This is going to look familiar to you. We're kind of going to be doing the same thing. I've got a piece of packing tape. While we're also just kind of getting ready, I'm going to post the link to the project. It is in the description of the video, but I'm also going to post it here in the comments so that if you want, you can download this project sheet that has all the ingredients that you need and all the supplies and all the stuff. So packing tape. Somebody did ask me in our last demo if you could use painter's tape, and you can, but it kind of leaves it different because painter's tape is not a smooth kind of surface. It did kind of leave a little bit of a funky texture on the back. I did test it, but I went right back to my packing tape. I put it on the back of my hoop, and now I'm just kind of pressing the whole thing down. I've got an old notepad here. I just flipped over for sort of a more firm surface than my work mat. So I've got that kind of pressed down, and now I'm going to take my UV resin and just pour a puddle in there. And I want it to be kind of maybe about 1/4 of an inch, maybe a generous 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to take a toothpick. This will self-level, but continue to clear my work area. This will self-level, but I'm a little impatient. So what I'm going to do is take a toothpick and just spread it around a little bit. And I want it to cover the bottom of the hoop completely. And the kind of nice thing about the glass glitter is that, you know, when we were working with images, we had to be very careful of bubbles. The glass glitter doesn't really matter. So I've got my little puddle spread around down at the bottom of my hoop. And now I'm going to take, I like to use these triangle hoops. They work very nicely for this, triangle hoops, triangle bead scoops. And you can find those kind of in a lot of jewelry supply places. Just Google, do a search for triangle bead scoops. Should be able to pop some up. So I've got, I've sprinkled. Sorry, I have to put my second pair of glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here. I've sprinkled a little layer of glass glitter down in the bottom, kind of nudging it around. And what I really want to do is give it a few minutes to settle down in there. And then the constant challenge with this is you're sticking to the tape. And then I may or may not, after I've let that settle a little bit, and because we don't want to sit here forever and watch it do that, I'm going to go ahead and maybe add a tiny bit more of the resin. Not too much. When you do add the resin and the glitter, I found that you want to do it in very small amounts, because you can kind of keep adding it until you get the effect that you want. What I also like, I didn't mention about this glass glitter, is you can kind of make it look like Faux Druzy. Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I think that I included that in the name of that necklace project that I was showing you. is Faux Druzy, which, if you're not familiar with what druzy is, it's stones that have kind of a crystallized section. So like a stone is broken open, a gemstone, and has like that crystallized kind of effect inside. That's what they call druzy. I'm not an expert at all, but generally that's when I say druzy, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna just pick it up and tip it a little bit, just back into the container, just to make sure that it's all settled in enough, and that, because as the resin cures, that's what's going to hold all this glitter in the hoop. So I didn't see much fall out, so I think we're doing pretty good. And I could even keep adding a little bit more and a little bit more, but I think it's good. Okay, maybe a tiny bit more down in here. It is really fun stuff to work with. I enjoy this technique very much. We used to have some cute little heart bezels. We no longer make them, but they were, I did a series of little heart druzy charms with those that I really liked. So you saw that I was just using my tweezers to pick up the hoop there to slide this into the UV lamp. It's actually easier to slide something underneath it. So I've got a plastic card, and I'm just going to pick it up and slide it into the UV lamp. And that's where it needs to stay for 15 or 20 minutes, maybe even longer. I did have one, I set one up earlier. So it's been in there for a little while. And something else about these UV lamps that I've discovered just out of experience is that as the bulb gets older, it takes longer to cure. So if you start doing this technique and find that it's taken forever to set, to cure, you might want to get a fresh bulb. So, hello, Lena. Oh, and Lynn, you ordered some glitter. Fun. And beadshop.com carries the triangle scoops. Yay. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm peeling off the tape very carefully. And trying to get myself detached. And I want to test that back because it may still be a little bit tacky on the back side. And in that case, now I would set this back into the UV lamp to just finish setting up the underside there where the tape was. But this one isn't too bad. It's slightly tacky, but it's cured enough for us to work with. So I'm going to ditch that little piece of tape. Lynn, I'm curious, whose glitter did you find? Whose did you order? I do find that the textures are different. The fusion glass from Meyer Imports was pretty much very fine, and the glitter rocks and the Judykins rocks and the iced enamels tended to be a little bit bigger, which is kind of nice. So I'm curious, what did you find? All right, so we've got our charm is done, our UV resin glass glitter charm. And so I like the idea of putting a red crystal with that gold. So I've got an eye pin, and I've got some of our bow beads, and I have some 4mm crystals. So I'm just, hold on just a second, got to find the tools I'm going to need. Strung the bow bead onto the eye pin and the crystal, and then I'm just going to form a simple loop at the top there. And I know you saw that I kind of protected the top of the crystal as I bent that so that I don't crack the crystal. That's a good practice when you're working with beads that might be a little bit delicate. And then I'm just forming a simple loop. And we have a blog on our website. It's right there. The link is right there on our homepage. And it has videos, links to videos to all of our how-to demos. So if you are a beginning jewelry maker, that is a good place to go to find basic technique information. Just go to TierraCast.com/blog, I think is how it'll come right up for you. So I've got my simple loop made, and I'm taking 2 pair of pliers. I want the loops to be perpendicular to each other. So one in one direction and the other the opposite direction. And that's so that when I put my ear wire on there, it will hang straight. And then the last step of this very easy earring design is just to add the ear wire at the top. And that little bow bead will spin around, which is kind of fun, gives it some movement. And I'm realizing just now as I'm looking at it, something to think about while you're constructing. I put the ear wire on backwards. So let's flip that around. The back side of the resin charm was facing forward. And there we go. It really is a very, very fun, it's very gratifying, this technique with the glass glitter. So also something I did when I was just coming up with the design last week, before I actually forgot that we had bow beads. So I'm like, okay, how can I make a little bow? I want a bow at the top of my ornament. So I was playing with some different ribbons, and I just tied a tiny little bow at the top. So that is an option. If you've got some pretty fine ribbon, like it's not too thick. This ribbon here is about 1/8 of an inch, and it is just your garden variety. Buy it at the craft store ribbon. And it, ribbon can be a rabbit hole. You start looking for pretty ribbons, and oh my goodness. But you could find something very kind of narrow and use this approach as an alternative to the bow bead. So just to throw out the options, like to do that. So that's it for that little earring. It's pretty easy. As you saw in the original image, I did different combinations. I did the red glass glitter with the green crystal, and I did green glitter with the red crystal. And you can use your imagination and have fun with different combinations. But I know for a fact that this is the project that I'm going to make a bunch of them and give them to friends for Christmas. So, because that's going to be a sweet, very festive design for people to wear. So I did do a couple of other, because that original. Well, as long as we're here, let's test the one that we put in the oven. I always say oven, I mean lamp. That was what, maybe 10 minutes ago, and it's still pretty wet. So that needs to stay in there for quite some time longer. So put that back in there and leave it. But I did do a couple of other things before the demo that I stuck in the lamp. And that was using some of our other types of bezels. So I'm going to throw a link into the comments to show you, or so that you can go and look at our other types of bezels. We have a few that are sort of like picture frame style and that are flat on the inside. And we have some that are made for flat back crystals that fit. This one fits what they call a flame shape flat back crystal. And we do sell these pre-glued with clear crystal, but we also sell them empty. And so this is a really fun way to use those empty ones if you don't want to stick a flat back crystal in there. And then this one, as I was saying, is great for pictures and stuff like that. I want to grab a sample. Now this one's been hanging on the wall for a very long time, so it needs a little love with the tarnish, with a polishing cloth. But this was my daughter when she was tiny. She was about 5 years old and playing on a t-ball team for the first time. So that's what we made these bezels for, is doing little pictures with resin. So that's also a great holiday gift idea. But for this demo, we're going to play with the resin. So obviously these ones are easier because you don't have to use the tape. You just pour some resin right into the bezel. You'll have to kind of experiment with how much is, oops, hold on here. Getting crazy and losing my phone. Fell off the mount. So where was I? We are filling these with some resin. Gonna go ahead and spread it around a little bit. Straighten that back up, make sure you guys can see. Toothpicks and cotton swabs are handy to have both, and tissues. All those things are really handy to have around when you're playing with these techniques. Because the toothpicks, obviously for stirring, it's also, remembering all these things on the fly here, it's also a good idea to pop a little Post-it note underneath your glitter, because then you can just, when you spill the glitter, which you will, you can pick up that Post-it note and kind of put it back into its container, the spilled glitter. Or you can toss it in the garbage, whatever works for you. And I'm using the cotton swab to just kind of wipe the glitter from the edge and back into the inside of the bezel. And then I can set that. And again, I could I'm using the tweezers to pick up the loop, but sliding something underneath there is also very, very effective. What kind of UV lamp? It is a crafting UV lamp. This particular brand, Pamij is asking this in the comments. This particular one probably came from Lisa Pavelka, where we get the Magic Gloss. But if you just, do a web search for a UV lamp, any of those will work. Any of those results that pop up. She probably still sells them on her website as well. And, you leave it in there just as long as you need to for it to be cured properly. And something else that someone mentioned the last time we demoed UV resin, of course, you could stick these out in the sun too. And depending on your weather, that can be very fast. And stick that into the UV resin, or into the UV lamp. And I think that's about it. These ones that I had made before the demo, and then I just made the seconds. I'm gonna just whip those up into into earrings. And I don't know, I'll gift those to somebody, I guess. But there you go, another quick and easy holiday gift. Just a good thing to remember is to try and put your lids on these guys as soon as you're done using them, because as I was saying, that is glass and you don't want that just kind of floating around in the air in your workspace. It's, you know, can be, just got to be careful with it. So that's it, you guys. I'm going to switch my camera back. Cookie says, I'll take them. Let's see here. Thank you, Cookie. I do love this idea. It is. And of course, I started to say it's such quick gratification, maybe not instant, but it's pretty darn quick with the UV resin. You could, of course, Susan Leonard Casimir, she doesn't work with UV resin. She works with two-part epoxy resin. So, and has, as I was saying, I think many supporting products for working with resin. You can use that resin. It's just, you got to be patient with that stuff. You know, it takes much longer to cure. You want to let that, I think, and my experience with a two-part epoxy resin is not as extensive, but you do, I think, generally you want to leave those to cure for like 24 hours. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the demo. You can find that project as I was saying on the website, and also you know what, I am going to look for that other one, the original one that I was going to demo and then didn't, that inspired this one. Let me find that project and I'll throw a link for it. And I'm talking about the necklace project that I was going to demo. Because that one's a fun one too. That one uses more of the techniques that we showed when we were doing the Halloween projects with the UV resin and the rings. It used some metal hole punching pliers to, here we go. Faux Druzy Flora pendant is what I named that. It's hard to remember everything, guys. Just is. So here's that link. That project used metal hole punching pliers to make some holes in the rings so that you know, I could connect them together. So there really is quite a lot of potential with this technique. Hope you guys like the demo, and I guess I'll figure out what I'm going to do next week, and I will post that next on Saturday, and hopefully we'll see you then. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and be well and make lots of great stuff, and we'll see you next week. Bye.